Deciding the basic type of team you want is essential to getting the team formed. There are a few different types of teams to choose from, and of course many variations of each one. The basic types are casual, serious, and hardcore. If you already have an idea of who you want on the team, then it should be fairly easy to decide which would be fitting. Casual rating tends to negate the progression for an enjoyable, laid-back environment with your friends. Serious rating pushes further progression, but not at the cost of losing friends over decisions in the raids. Hardcore rating focuses solely on pushing as much progression in as little time as possible, ignoring whether someone is your friend or not. If you have not figured out who is on your team yet, then think about what you would prefer. Do you want to raid casually with friends, push some progression, or focus on seeing the end game content not everyone gets to see? Once you decide this, you can start planning your team out. Not every lineup is ideal for raiding. For example, having 3 paladin healers or 4 melee DPS is probably a bad idea. You can easily work around many different group setups, but you really need to think about what you need and what you have. There is a raid composition calculator on mmochampion.com that you can use. Place the class and spec combinations that you have and that you would like to see if their buffs and debuffs are fitting for your team. Even further, think about what they are capable of. Paladin tanks have great AoE threat, while a Death Knight has high spell damage survivability. Paladin healers are good tank healers, while Druid healers are good for raid healing. Something you should do is always have 2 tanks, 3 healers, and 5 DPS. Having a tank with an off-spec, or healer with an off-spec, or DPS that can step in as a tank or healer is definitely ideal, but not required. Having 2 different classes of tank is useful, but not always a necessity. When it comes to healers, try to avoid having more than 1 paladin healer. It helps to have a variety of classes for healing, but don't overdo one type. Finally, when it comes to DPS, you should try to have 3 ranged to 2 melee, or 4 ranged to 1 melee. It's useful to always have 1 or 2 melee DPS, but having more can cause the difficulty of certain bosses to skyrocket and prove hard to progress past. Again, here you don't want to duplicate classes of specs, if you can avoid it. Planning out what classes and specs you want on your team is very difficult, but can really pay off if figured out correctly. Remember, you will most likely not get the exact setup that you want. You will have to work around your group makeup and figure out what works for you. Some teams work well with 3 melee, while others find it useful to not bring any. The decision is going to be based on who you have and what is and is not working. In the next video, we will discuss the scheduling and recruitment aspects of raid leading. Please thumbs up and subscribe.